In the Apple product sales Excel sheet, we're going to take a moment to talk about named ranges and specifically the naming conventions that Excel uses for their variables. If I take these prices, these three prices for the three Apple products in the year 2020, and I want to give them a name, and if I call them 2020 prices, I'm going to get an error because you cannot start a named range with a number. So starting it with 2020 doesn't work. And moreover, if I say price and then I have a space and 2020, that doesn't work either because space bars aren't allowed. In fact, the only characters that are allowed are a period and an underscore. So if I choose to call it price underscore 2020, that will work. Now I could also, with it still highlighted, I could give it a different name and call it price dot 2020. That's valid. And now I have two different names for the same boxes. And if you ever decide you don't like your names or you made a mistake and you want to change it, that's in the Formulas tab. It's in the Name Manager. And for either one of these, you can highlight it and edit it. So you could change the name around, or you can just go ahead and delete it, which is what I'm going to do. Click on it to choose it and then delete it. Okay, in this assignment, our goal is to sum up all of the Apple revenue by year and then by region for each year, by product, look at the total number of units sold each year, and then finally do an extended summary that's revenue by region and by product broken down for each year between 20 and 24. To do that, we have a detailed data tab that contains the year, which region, which product, the number of units of that product, and then we need to look up the price and then calculate the revenue. The prices are on this product prices tab. So eventually I'm going to want to ask Excel to retrieve the price for an iPhone in the year 2020. And to do that, I can do an XLOOKUP for iPhone and then bring back from any one of these other columns. So I want to create named ranges for each of these columns. I'm going to do that all at once. I'll do an insert. And I noticed over here, I already have product. And so I don't want to duplicate the names. I'm going to call this one price underscore product. And then for these, I'll do price underscore 2020. And then price underscore 2021. And since it's got a, there's some symmetry to how I'm doing this, I could put in text price underscore, use the ampersand, and then get the year from the box above. And then that is something that I could copy over, get all of those names for my columns. Now choose those new names and the values beneath them, and then we can go to the Formulas tab and create the named ranges all at once so that now I've got all 6 of those. Okay, with those named ranges set up, we can go back to our data and look at how we're going to fill in this price. So I want to retrieve the iPhone price for the year 2020 and then the iPhone price for the year 2021. So let me bring in a graphic to help me explain this. This is just our pricing table. So for 2020, I need to, my return array needs to be price underscore 2020, but then that has to update to the different prices. So I'm going to need to use an indirect. So I'm going to use what are called helper cells that will create the named range reference that I will use in the indirect function, which is price underscore together with, and then the year. So just that much will give me the reference, and then I can put that together with indirect on that reference, which brings back the prices for 2020. Take that formula, copy it, paste it down here. I get price 2023. And then if I take indirect, it brings back the prices from 2023. Okay, so do an XLOOKUP. Look for iPhone. Look for it in my price underscore product range. And when you find it, return from this price 2020. So I need to do indirect and then price underscore and get the year. So I'm creating the reference within indirect. I get 635. Let's update that so we can see. There we go. And now let's try that one more time. Look up iPhone in price underscore product. This time I'm going to want to return from the year 2021 prices. So that's make a reference, use indirect for price underscore, close off the text, ampersand, and get the year. Close the indirect, close the XLOOKUP. I should be able to now copy that down and verify that all of the prices have come in correctly. So 2021 iPad, $435.99. Check. Now the revenue will be 98,000 units, and note that the units are given in thousands, so it's 98,000 thousand. So it's actually 98 million iPads, each with a price of $635. So multiply those together. Hundreds, thousands, millions. So that's 62 million thousand. 62 billion. That's just for iPhones and only in 2020. Copy that down. And now you should have the revenue for each year, region, product, and so forth. Okay, let's just do a control down, verify that all the data got covered. Okay, good. Let's select all the way up, and I can create named ranges to simplify things again. Create named ranges. Create from selection using the top row. Got it. And there we have it. So now product comes from the detailed data, but price underscore product comes from the pricing list. Okay, for our summary, I want to add up all of the Apple revenue for 2020. So looking at the detailed data, I want to add up the revenue column, but only if the year was 2020. So for 2020, sum ifs. The sum range is the revenue named range. Criteria will be that the year named range has to equal and then this value. And then if I copy that across the rest of the row, since that was a relative reference, the year should have updated as the formula was copied across. Okay, then revenue by region. Now I have two criteria. The year has to be 2020 and the region has to be America. So this will be sum ifs. What are you summing? The revenue function. With what criteria? That the year has to be 2020. Ooh, okay, now I'm going to copy this down. So I want to lock it onto onto the row. And when I copy it across, it'll stay in the row. So that'll be okay. So the year has to be 2020. And then the region, named range, there it is, has to be Americas. Okay, now Americas, when I copy it down, it will stay in the column. So that's not a problem. But when I copy it across, the reference is going to want to move. But I need to lock it in column B. So toggle your F4 key or your Command T until you've locked just the column. Then for 2020, I should be able to copy that down, and I should be able to copy those across. And for any one of these, I'm summing the year that's above the formula and the region that's to the left of the formula. If we did it right, we should be able to sum the values above, and it should match what I got up here for the year 2020. Copy that formula across. Looks good. Okay, revenue by product. Sum ifs. We're summing the revenue function still. The criteria will be that product is iPhone. Okay, now again, I'm going to want to copy this across. So I need to lock the column in place. And then I also need the year, comma, to be the year above the formula and lock that row in place. So that as I copy across, the 2020 is updating to 2024. The iPhone stayed locked on that first column. And if I copy these formulas down, in each case, the references are where I want them to be. Again, you can total, find the sum of those three values, and then copy that across. And then just verify that 2020 always has the same total revenue no matter how you added it up. Unit sales by product. So now I want to do another sum, but now I want to sum the units, not the revenue. So just how many individual units were sold. For an iPhone, that would be the product, comma, needs to be iPhone, lock that column reference in place. And the year has to be 2020, lock the row in place. Copy that over and down, and we'll get a total. And that should not be dollars. There we go. Put a comma in there for easier reading and take off. There we have it. Okay, now revenue by region and by product. So I'm summing with multiple criteria, so sum ifs. I want to sum the revenue function. My first criteria is the region needs to be America. Region, comma, needs to be America, and lock that in column I. The product, comma, has to be iPhone, and lock that row in place so that I can copy down to these other regions, but the product will stay locked on row 7. So that's 2 toggles. And the year has to be, okay, so now I want the year to be 2020, but let's look at this. If I click on this, got my comma again, year, comma, and then click here, I get nothing. And that's because this, if I click on just that cell, look up in the formula bar, there's nothing. That's a blank cell. This is blank. The 2020 actually lives in this cell. This has been centered across selection, and the 2020 is there. And I want that to be moved over. Let's try that. There we go. Okay, now that 2020, I want to lock that one in place. Because when I copy the formula to the right, I don't want this moving to the right, and I don't want it moving down. Copy this over, give a little more room. There we go. And now we should be able to copy each of these formulas down. And in each case, we have the region, we have the product, and the year is on this cell. Let's see how we did. Let's sum up. Make sure that our total matches. iPhone, iPad, and Mac. So iPhone for 2020, that's a check. iPad for 2020, and Mac 2020. This formula that I created, if I do a Control-C copy and I come over and I do a paste, let's see what it looks like. We've got the same values over here because We're still locked on the 2020 reference, and we're locked on the Americas. That's still good. iPhone is still good. I still want to sum up Americas and iPhone, but I'm just going to update this over to here for 2021. And let's just verify again. This cell does not have the value 2021. It's been centered across selection. And we can sum, copy and paste the sum formula that we had, but summing all of the values above each one. Okay, I'm going to leave you to fill out the rest of the years on your own for this summary, and then you'll have a quiz that asks you some questions about details here to make sure that everything went right. Okay? Good work.